Hey everyone, it's Mike from Overground here, and welcome to the final episode, episode 6 of our Rainbow Deck Building series. In this series, we go over cards that we got from our boxes of product, and we make a deck out of every single possible color. These could be decks that we feel are the most competitive, decks that are just our favorite Digimon, decks that we feel are the most fun and interesting ideas. And so we've gone through the gauntlet so far. You've seen our Gallantmon red list, our Lilithmon purple list, our yellow toolbox list, our black blocker / Millenniumon turbo type list. You've also seen the Tyrannomon green list, and now we've reached the end of the line, and this is the color blue. Now, in all honesty, this episode was actually originally recorded at the same time we did the rest of them, and it was actually the Omnimon blue list that I posted previously in the channel that I ended up taking first place in the Cartamagica webcam tournament on December 6th. And when I recorded the video, I actually made a note to say, this is the deck I'm going to take with me, and I'm going to show on screen what my placement was, under the assumption that I wouldn't necessarily do very well and just kind of want to take it and take a first run and see how I did. Now, thankfully, I got first place and I was able to share that with you guys earlier. So we kind of had to take a step back and go back to the drawing board and figure, well, what kind of blue deck can we build instead if it's not this one, out of what we ended up getting from our product? So this actually became a viewer request video. So if you guys aren't familiar with the YouTuber Zeonic Blader, I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the description as well. He is a Bakugan and Beyblade tuber, and he's a good friend of mine. We were in Bakugan together for a little while. He's still in it now, and he just got recently sponsored by Spin Master, so great for him. But we kind of migrated to Digimon together, and he had just bought a little bit of product because he couldn't get a lot of the pre-sale stuff in his hands. And he said to me, you know what, Mike? What's the best deck that I can build with these cards? And he kind of took pictures of everything that he pulled, sent them to me, and said, what can I do? I really want to build this, but this is all I got. And we actually pulled a very similar batch to what he ended up sending me. So this is for you, Zeonic. This is the Leopardmon blue jamming deck that I built for you, so that way you can have some sort of foot in the door competitive deck to take with you if you do decide to go into any tournaments, or if you just have something kicking around the house to play with your brother or anything like that as well, or if you want to even have a webcam match with me. So yeah, this is going to be for him. This is my take on a Leopardmon deck. It's be warned, it's very funky, it's very interesting, and it's probably one of the most fun decks we've built because barring the entire competitive side of things, it does some very fun and wacky things that I just always get to put a smile on my face every time I play this deck. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope he enjoys it. And here we go. So let's go into it. So the first, we're just going to go into the babies. I'm not going to talk about this much because it's the exact same baby lineup as the Omnimon deck. In this deck, you don't necessarily need Digi-Eggs, but you play them just actually as a draw engine, to be completely honest. So you're using this just to take advantage of the game mechanics to draw, because what you want to do in this deck is you just want to draw as much as humanly possible, and I'll explain why as we continue through the rest of the deck. However, with Upamon, you actually get to draw more under the pretense that your opponent has Digimon in the field that have no sources. So we're going to go into the rookies, and I'm going to kind of speed through this a little bit because there's a lot to talk about. So we've got a very hefty rookie lineup, and I'm just going to kind of spread them out all over the table. So I'm kind of running out of space here. For the glare. That's Elecmon. Okay, so in total, we are playing 4, 8, 12, 15 rookies. This may seem like a lot, but in all honesty, when we kind of get to the end goal of the deck, you'll understand why. This deck wants to get into Leopardmon as quickly as possible, and we're going to spoil Leopardmon now because it's worth discussing him and talking about what he does and how he contributes to the rest of the deck. So what Leopardmon does is that when he Digivolves, you can take a level 4 or lower Digivolution card from any single one of your Digimon on the field and pop it into play. And during your turn, Leopardmon makes it that all of your level 4 or lower Digimon have jamming. So the reason we want to get as many rookies out as possible and max out on all of the low-cost rookies is because once we have Leopardmon on the field, we can just slam down a rookie every turn, and they will always have jamming. And that's another reason why we want to make sure that we take advantage of the Digi-Egg mechanic as well. Because if we have Leopardmon in play, we could evolve a Digimon down here in our raising area. Next turn, we bring up a Digimon with jamming who can attack immediately. So the reason we play so many rookies is to make sure that we have as many bodies as possible to have jamming, thanks to Leopardmon's ability in which he grants to the entire board. And to compensate for the low-cost rookies, because we just want to... Basically, this deck is Rookie Rush featuring the magic that Leopardmon provides to give everyone jamming. And in this instance, you want to get Leopardmon as soon as possible and then just slam down as many low-cost rookies as humanly possible. And then if your opponent cannot deal with them, you go into your next turn and then you just strip every single security card away from them as quickly and as viciously as you can. So we just play the best possible rookies as well as backup on top of our low cost. So we have the Gomamon that when Digimon is deleted, the inheritable you gain 1 memory, and we have the Gabumon for 3 cost. Just put into play, you get to draw 1 card. This adds layers to your consistency, and this goes hand in hand again with the fact that we're playing our Digi-Eggs specifically to evolve over top of them so we can get more draw power to get into that Leopardmon and get to that endgame strategy as quickly as possible. So next we're going to go into the champion lineup, and the champion lineup is also a little stuffed. So I'm just going to stack them like this instead, because that way I save more space. So we got 4 Gorillamon, 4 Grizzlymon, 4 Frigimon, and then 3 of the set 1 Garurumon. So Gorillamon and Garurumon and Grizzlymon, we've kind of spoken at length. You've seen them a million times before in the Omnimon Blue deck and every other deck that's kind of been put into existence for Blue right now. Gorillamon is that there's 2 different ways that you kind of play this deck. The first one is that when you want to turbo into Leopardmon, and you usually want to use Gorillamon exclusively for the purpose of getting up into your Leopardmon chain. Leopardmon does cost 4 to Digivolve, so you want to have his stack as memory efficiently as possible. So Grizzlymon, blocker, we need blockers. Frigimon is in the deck because Frigimon has jamming natively already. So he kind of meshes well with the synergy of the deck because you're trying to turn everything into jammers. So by having something that's already a jammer, you already have something that's there to put pressure on your opponent. And Garurumon is here because since Leopardmon can pop something out of anyone's source, not necessarily the stack that he's in himself, he works similarly to the Metal Garurumon that we've seen in the Omnimon Blue deck as well, where he can pop Garurumon out, unsuspend someone, and then they can attack again. And that combos really well when you're dealing with something like with the Jamming Digimon, for example, because that's 2 attacks directly where they cannot be deleted in battle with Security Digimon. So that is it for the champions. Next, we're going to go into the ultimates. And we got 4 Monzemon and 4 of the memory borrowing Weregarurumon from set 1. So, Monzemon again. We've discussed at length. He is just the ultimate equivalent of Gorillamon. Ideally, you want to use him to step up into your Leopardmon because he's going to be the cheapest memory investment possible. Where Garurumon, on the other hand, is actually a really cool addition. So I've talked about how I'm not necessarily sold on the memory borrowing Metal Greymon when it came to the Red Gallantmon deck. But in this deck, what you can do instead is that you can attack with this Weregarurumon, gain that 3 memory, and then you can spend that extra 3 memory just on a bunch of small rookies that going into your next turn would have jamming. So whereas in the other decks, you're kind of afraid to give your opponent too much memory. In this deck, by the end of the turn, you should theoretically have a handful of attackers, and then because you keep throwing things at your opponent every turn going, by the end of the turn that you've played and attacked with this Weregarurumon, you should ideally have about 4 or 5 more Digimon on your board by the time you pass that memory counter to 0. So going into your opponent's turn, they either have to deal with it immediately, or you're just going to threaten lethal as soon as their turn ends. So that's why we played these ultimates specifically. We also played the lowest cost ultimates that you can hard drop if you're coming into that situation, because as well, Leopardmon is the main win condition, so we don't necessarily have to evolve up to him if we don't want to. So we could just hard draw an ultimate and then put Leopardmon on top of them as well. So that is it for the ultimate. There's 2 more ultimates, I apologize. And that is going to be the 2 of the set 1 Zoonomon. So Zoonomon, on play, you get to draw 2. This goes in keeping with the fact that we want to turbo into our Leopardmon strategy as much as possible. So we want to play as many draw cards and consistency cards as possible that we're using in conjunction with the game mechanics themselves to keep drawing and cycling through our deck. And the additional benefit that this Zoonomon has is that if you attack and your opponent has no Digivolution sources, you get to gain 1 memory that again allows you to be able to play more smaller Digimon to threaten that game shot going into your opponent's next turn. So now we're going to go into the final main boss of the deck, and that is 3 Leopardmon. Now, I would have played 4, but unfortunately we only own 3. And I wanted to build this deck kind of with whatever I had left over in blue without having to actually borrow cards from the Omnimon deck. So these actually exist as 2 separate standalone decks. And the thing with the Leopardmon is that it's literally the only mega in the entire deck. So that's why we're compensating with this by playing so many extra draw power cards and taking advantage of those draw power from the mechanics of the game, so you can get to see Leopardmon as fast and as efficiently as possible, because he is going to be your main win condition. However, if you cannot get to Leopardmon, you're still going to kind of be playing around with those fun little memory shenanigans, so you can just keep throwing a bunch of small beaters on the board in combination with your Frigimons and in combination with the Garurumon, so you can just keep swinging for the fences. Finally, the last bit of cards in the deck, you got 4 Hammer Spark. Again, You want more memory? More memory means more cards, means you're going to have a good time. And the last 3 cards in the deck is 3 Boring Storm. And again, for 1 cost, it's just draw 1. So this is another way to cycle through your deck without having to necessarily evolve. And if it's hit in your security stack itself, you actually get to draw 2. So that means going into your next turn, you actually have more options to play. So that is it for the deck. This is my take on a Leopardmon Turbo deck. In a perfect world, I would have liked to play 4 of the secret Digimon, but unfortunately we only got our hands on 2. If you play this Digimon with the V-Tamer tie, which is right here, what this allows you to do with Leopardmon is that when you have a blue Tamer in play, you can attack with Digimon and then you can untap it right away. And because Leopardmon would give him jamming, it automatically unsuspends itself for free without having to use any additional resources like the Garurumon. And with tie as well, you can actually suspend the tie if you have a card with Digimon in its name to draw 1. So this engine probably would have replaced the Boring Storms, as well as replaced the Garurumons and maybe slimmed down the rookie lineup a little bit. But because I just didn't have enough of these that I felt confident putting them in the deck with such low copies, I just decided to buff up the deck in another way that worked for me. But yeah, in a perfect world, I would also try it out this way. I would want to play 4 Digimon and at least 2 to 3 tie, just so I could keep selecting through my deck in that respect as well, and to give myself more aggression options. But yeah, that is the final episode in our Rainbow series. We've covered all 6 colors currently available in set 1.0. This is blue, this is Leopardmon. This is a fun, fast-paced, aggressive deck that is also kind of cheesy, but it can steal wins if your opponent's just not paying attention enough. And yeah, it's been a great, fun time for us so far. But yeah, if you enjoyed this series, please look forward to the next Rainbow series happening as soon as we get our hands on 1.5. If you have any comments or suggestions about this deck, feel free to let me know in the comment section of this video as well. And as always, guys, thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for subscribing if you like what we do and if you can, and have a good one. Take care.